Hi everyone, here we're going to go over the instructions for the ballistic pendulum lab. So let's take a look at the Excel file. So looking at the Excel file, there's only one part to the lab, so it'll be a quick lab. And the link is going to be listed here. So when you open up the link, let's see what it's going to look like. So this is the link, and overall the experiment is this. You're going to fire a projectile, and you're going to measure the height that the system swings up to. And what you're going to do is use that to calculate the initial velocity of the projectile before it was fired. And once you've done that, then you'll also double check your calculations with this velocity here, which says show initial velocity, this one is going to correspond to your theoretical initial velocity. So now let's take a look at the Excel file to see how all of this fits into the Excel file. So first, you have your errors. So for the mass, you're gonna take this to be a digital read display, and also for the ruler, what measures the height, take this also to be a digital display. And you record the errors here, and you have your list of variables. And in section 5, you have your formulas. So let's take a look at the data taking part now. So if you go to section 6, the first thing that you're going to record is going to be the mass of the projectile. That'll be this mass here, the mass of the projectile. And next, you're going to record the mass of the pendulum. That's going to be this mass here. So in the simulation, they call that the wood block, but this will be correspond to the mass of the pendulum. And next, you're also going to record the initial height of the projectile before it was fired. So you'll have to take this line here, line it up, so that you can get as close as possible to the center of that blue projectile, and you'll record that number here. Also, you're going to record the theoretical initial velocity by just clicking on show velocity here, and you record that number here. So don't forget to enter the units. So that'll be the first part. Now continuing on with the data taking section, the experiment is actually going to have you do 5 trials. And the reason why is, well, once you fire the projectile, what you want to measure is the final height that the system swings up to, but you're going to do that 5 times. The reason why is that once you fire the projectile, it's going to continue swinging. It's going to continue swinging. So because of that, what you have to do is try to eyeball or gauge what that final height is. So you'll have to, because this involves some kind of estimation, you'll do the experiment 5 times, and you'll take an average of that final height. And you'll do this 5 times and record those final heights 5 different times of what your best estimate. And that'll complete the data taking section for the ballistic pendulum lab. The next part are going to be calculations. So for the calculations, the first thing is that you want to calculate the average of all these final heights, and you'll put that value here. And next, what we're trying to verify is the initial velocity of the projectile, and it depends on the height h that the pendulum and projectile swing up to. So that means that what you actually want is not this number here, but the difference between this number and the initial height of the projectile. So you want the difference between those two numbers, and that is going to be what you're going to enter here. And once you've gotten this data, the height, and you'll also use your masses. So the masses that you recorded previously. So you also use those masses, and you'll plug them into this equation, and this will give you the experimental initial velocity of the projectile, and you'll put that there. And to complete the experiment, what you'll do is you'll take a percent difference here in section 8. You'll take a percent difference between, so here, you'll take a percent difference between the experimental initial velocity and the theoretical initial velocity. So percent difference between the experimental initial velocity. I said it incorrectly. You want to take the percent error, yes, the percent error between the experimental initial velocity and the theoretical initial velocity. And that'll complete the lab. And also, there'll be homework in the back here. So that concludes the explanation for the ballistic pendulum experiment.